If you want to be successful in anything, like I always say, you'll start making money once you get bored. Because when things got boring, it means you have a process. You've mastered your craft. That's why it's boring.
Yeah.
You've done the same thing over and over. And like, I'm sure when Taylor Swift goes on the stage and sing for the 150th time the same song this year, that should be boring, right?
Hello and welcome to the Just Send It podcast by Manychat. Today I am joined by Sun Yi. Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Who is an entrepreneur, a storyteller, and a personal brand strategist. He also is the owner of Night Owls, which is a digital branding agency that's worked with some of the biggest household names. Welcome, Sun.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I actually met you, obviously, as we know, at Vid Summit. And I really loved what you were talking about at Vid Summit. And so it inspired me to invite you here. And I'm so grateful that you're here. One of the things that I remember stuck with me the most was that you talked about your catchphrase. And I'm very interested. Can you tell me a little bit of the story behind the catchphrase that you use in all of your posts?
All my posts ends with the catchphrase, I never thought of it that way. And the way I came up with that, I didn't come up with it. Early on, when I first started posting, I kept seeing comments that said, I never thought of it that way. And I just noticed it. Like in the beginning, I didn't notice it, but I kept seeing it over and over and over. And after 100 times I've seen it, I was like, oh, I should just make this my tagline, right? And I started putting it at the end of my carousels. And people just went nuts. It was like, oh my gosh, like right before I got to that slide, I was thinking to myself, I never thought of it that way. And then that slide said, I never thought of it that way.
And then you read my mind.
Yeah, exactly. So I just kind of stuck to it, and it became like what I'm known for now.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome. I love that you have that because I feel like it just shows that you really listen to your audience, which is cool too. Like you literally turned something that was the thing that your audience commented the most into the thing that now you're kind of known for, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and it's also like, that's what I actually tell everybody. Like, don't try to, just listen to your audience. They'll tell you everything that you need to know.
Yeah. So you have had a really impressive career. At what point in your career did you decide that storytelling was kind of the thing that you wanted to lean into and be known for?
I never thought of myself as a storyteller. I started my career as a web designer.
Right.
Actually, coder. I went to school for engineering. I learned a little bit of computer science. So I started coding websites, and then I got into design. I was like, oh, this is fun. And I started my agency as a web design company, and it turned into a branding agency. I worked with this client who hired this freelance copywriter. And this guy was getting paid $20,000 a day.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what? I just didn't get it. I'm like, I was thinking you're wasting your money. But after 2 days of work, he kind of fixed up the copy and gave me a little bit of tasks on how to touch up the design and change a few things. And literally the conversion rate on that page quadrupled.
Wow.
And mind you, this is a company that's doing 7-figure in sales.
Right.
So it's millions of dollars overnight, right?
Huh.
So that kind of broke my brain. I'm like, holy, what have I been doing here, right? And that's when I started learning copywriting. And, we're still known as a branding agency. And a lot of our clients, we used to work with a lot of corporate clients. Now we work with some major personal brands. A lot of them didn't really know their story. Or it's so funny how some of these companies do millions of dollars. And when I ask them, what is your brand about? They can't tell me.
It's like crickets.
Yeah. So I've started kind of helping them with their stories, copywriting, and things like that. And when I started putting out content, I thought I was going to teach marketing, design, websites, things like that. But people kept commenting Son, I love your storytelling. Can you teach me storytelling? And they'll keep DMing me, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know that I was a storyteller, right? And then a year into it, Domestika came and asked us to create a storytelling course. I'm like, okay. And then I did that, and now it has over 30,000 students.
Wow.
And now I'm just I guess I'm a storyteller now.
Wow. That is so incredible. It's funny, the thing that you are, I think, best known for now is something that you didn't even expect you were going to be, which is so incredible. So considering that you have these 30,000 students, you have like almost 200K on Instagram, all these things, is there one principle about storytelling that you feel like is really misunderstood or people often get wrong?
I guess, I'll kind of tell you like the two types of stories telling that I teach. One, I call it a myth-truth sandwich. So to start off, every story has a myth and a truth. So even, you know how people talk about like setup, conflict, and resolution, even in that sense, there is something that the character thought to be true. And then they go through some incident where they're awakened. They're like, oh my gosh, everything I thought to be true turned out to be wrong.
Right.
And then they learn a lesson, right? Like, to give you an example, like if you see Lion King, Simba is like, oh, I'm gonna go away and live this Hakuna Matata life, and you know that's gonna make me happy. No worries. Until he bumps into Nala and realizes that back home his family is kind of under the tyranny of his uncle. So then that's when he decides like, okay, I can't just keep living Hakuna Matata. I gotta go back home and face Uncle Scar. So that's one example. Kind of to better answer your question, the thing that I think a lot of people forget is that in a hero's journey like that, they focus on kind of the victim to hero story. I used to be a victim, and now I'm a hero, right? And Simba is a similar case. Oh my gosh, you know, Uncle Scar did this to me. And a lot of people kind of focus on that part. One of the things that I teach is you actually have to go from victim to realizing that you're a villain in someone else's story.
Oof.
And that's what's going to trigger you to take the responsibility to become a hero. Like, in Simba's story, it's the same thing, right? The moment he realized that he had to change was when he realized that I'm actually a villain. You know, I have abandoned my family. Who needs me? Who needs the king? And that's when he realized he has to go back. So
Yeah.
another example I can give is like, I saw this tweet on Twitter, and a lot of people tell stories like this. Oh, you know, when I was young, I was different than everyone. I was a weirdo, so nobody wanted to hang out with me. But I didn't care. And I just kind of, you know, kept being me. And then eventually I found other weirdos like me, and we formed our own tribe. So the lesson is, you know, just be yourself and find your own tribe, right? Which is great. That sounds like a hero's journey story. But the problem there is like it just goes from victim to hero. There's no point where I did something wrong. Like, because if I didn't do anything wrong, there's no lesson for me to learn, right?
So how would you change that story?
So that I would change it. I mean, obviously, I don't know this person.
Right.
But I can almost guarantee you what really happened was I'm a weirdo, but I try to fit in. So I try to dress like them. I try to talk like them.
Right.
And eventually, I saw myself becoming somebody I wasn't. Maybe I was bullying, you know, my own friends. Kind of, Mean Girls is a perfect story, right?
Yeah.
She actually started becoming one of the mean girls, and she started ignoring her friends, right? And then she had to kind of find her roots again. So something like that. So if there's no version of you in this story where you're actually the villain, then you're doing it wrong, because you're basically, whenever you hear the word, but I didn't care, that just kind of subconsciously people are thinking like, okay, so you were cool, you were always cool, you're still cool now,
Right.
so what changed, right?
Right.
You know? I mean, nobody knows that like explicitly, but subconsciously, that's the feeling that we get.
And it's almost like they can't relate to it as much.
Exactly,
Unless
yeah.
there's that point that's missing there. Do you get a lot of your references from movies? Because you've mentioned like 3 movies now, and I love that.
I use movies because, you know, those are the story that everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone knows it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I have plenty of examples from my own life, from people I know. Like, you'd be surprised how many of these stories are pretty much the same. Like, I've heard stories from all over, like, people in my community, there's people from all over the world, all different language, all different religious background. Like, it doesn't really matter. People are people, and we all have the same stories.
Yeah, I love that you bring it into movies. I think that's so cool. One of the other things that is very prominent, like when somebody goes onto your Instagram page or whatever, is that you have very clear branding. It makes sense. You are a designer. You help people with their branding. But in this world where we're seeing a lot of people shift to more unpolished, authentic, unfiltered content, do you feel like having brand colors or a visual identity is something that's as important now as it once was?
No. And I'm sorry to say that because I come from design background myself.
I don't think I was expecting that from you. But I'm interested to hear what you're going to say
I mean,
here.
it does help a little bit, right? And maybe
Yeah.
for some industry it helps more. Like obviously if you're like in some sort of a lifestyle, if you're selling luxury goods or something like that, obviously that matters, right? But for the most part, if you're building a personal brand, it doesn't really matter because like look at Gary Vee, right? Like his feed is a hot mess.
The colors, it's all over.
Yeah, like you can't really tell me, okay, what. And I also, even when it comes to like taglines, slogans, brand messaging, like if I were to ask you, what's Tony Robbins' tagline?
No
You
idea.
probably couldn't tell me, right? Like
Couldn't tell
it's because like it doesn't really matter. That's the whole point of the personal brand, is that you are the brand, right? And what I noticed is that most people already have a certain style, right? Like if you meet somebody, you can kind of guess what their home would look like. You can kind of guess, you know.
That's fair.
I mean, to a certain degree, maybe not exactly. Some people might surprise you, but like just by the way you dress, how you decorate your house, what kind of car you drive, like you are already a brand. And what I noticed is that I would give these with my clients. I would give these templates to them. It's like, okay, well, we'll go through all this brand strategy and do these designs and give it to them. And over time they stop using it because at the end they're gonna do every post the way that connects to them, the way what looks good to them, right? And when you do that for a long time, even if you don't have a brand guideline, there is some consistency to it, like that you didn't even plan for. And I think it's the reason why your wardrobe probably has some consistency to it, even though you didn't sit down and consult with the advisor and be like, okay, these are the colors that I'm gonna wear.
Yeah, this is what I should wear today.
Exactly. Like it's not really strategy. It's I just think that's actually the best way to do it. It's the real you.
Yeah, and the other thing too, I feel like a lot of people get stuck with, and let me know if you agree with this, but like when you try to stick to too perfect or too branded, I feel like people often stop altogether because it's like too much and it's so overwhelming and nothing can be that perfect that it almost becomes like the worst thing for them.
Yeah, I agree. Especially on TikTok. Like I noticed it on TikTok, like the one where I'm just recording myself, and those always do the best.
So those just do the best, like no crazy editing, just talking to camera.
Exactly.
That's amazing. I love that. So one of the things that I've noticed on Instagram is that you do post a lot of carousels, which is great. But I feel like people always think that reels are like the way to grow, like video, short form video, blah, 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 like whatever. How do carousels play a role in your social media strategy?
For me, carousels do better than videos.
Yeah.
And what does even better than carousels are like these single post written quotes or some blurb that I write, right? And here's what I'll say, because video is like the new hot thing right now. Everybody's like, you got to do reels, TikTok videos,
Of course.
right? I would say, yeah, do videos if that's your strength, but do not dismiss written content because I would still say about 50% of audience are watchers and 50% are readers. It's the reason why books still sell. And if you started your brand with written content, the written content is going to perform better. If you got your name known through video content, then the video content is going to do better. I'm a strong proponent of written content, and here's why. So I did a quick research on this. There's actually a personality trait difference between people who prefer to read content and people who prefer to watch content. People who prefer to read content are more curious, they're more empathetic, and they're more patient. People who prefer to watch video content, they're a little more impatient.
Sounds like me.
Yeah. They want a little more kind of immediate gratification, immediate result. And they need more stimulus, right? And it's kind of obvious, right? Like if I have to have this 2-second hook and every 3 seconds I have to do a different editing to keep your attention. Like
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, most likely I'm gonna need to do a lot of work to keep your attention,
Yep.
right? And what I found is, if you're in the business, like in the service business like me, right, where it's educational, where I'm coaching people or I'm teaching somebody, or even if a service business where you're working for a client, right? There are certain things that it's outside of your control. Like I can't just make somebody have 1 million followers if they don't actually put in the work either, right?
Right.
And most likely the most successful clients that I'm gonna have are gonna be the ones that have the patience to put in the work, learn that, actually finish watching the course, and all of that, right? And that's why I found that actually like my written content brings me the best customers. It might not necessarily bring me the biggest audience because it's harder to hook them, but ultimately it brings me the best audience. And this is something that I noticed for a while now. So yeah, if your strength is writing, don't have this FOMO of like, oh my gosh, I have to do video. Actually, just double down on written content. Write on Threads, write on Substack, have an email newsletter, and just double down on that and really hone that craft. Because trust me, like, because people, how long have we heard like when in the 90s and stuff, like that radio is dead, right? But no, like radio is going strong in the form of podcasts. And I think the same thing is going to happen with written content. Like written content is not going to die. It's not a craft that's over.
Yeah, well, I feel like Substack even is doing so well right now. Like, I have never been someone who has been into writing. Literally being on camera is quite literally my job here. But I feel like, to your point, written content has an audience, and if that's what you're good at, I always suggest people lean into it. Our previous podcast guest also was written first, like he's very into carousels as well, and it's very interesting because I always just assume like, video. I think we see that a lot, but at the end of the day, carousels have a place, and people love reading, obviously.
Yeah, I think everybody has their strength. Like you, obviously, you're very charismatic, you're outgoing.
Well, thank you.
So I think that's like, you hit the jackpot, right? Your video is your thing, but not everybody has that.
Absolutely.
And that's okay too. Just write.
And you can still succeed on social media.
Exactly.
That's the beauty of it. There's an audience for everything, which is super cool. So to talk a little bit more into your social media strategy for your business, I noticed that you don't really promote any of your paid offers in your feed posts or even in your link in bio for your account. Can you walk me through the strategy behind that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not rocket science. I call myself the anti-marketing marketer because obviously I'm a marketer, but I don't believe in like this rigid, like, okay, here's the 7-step formula of converting, blah, 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 blah. Like, obviously, those work, right? But, people have different level of comfort when it comes to marketing because, at the end of the day, marketing is manipulation. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to use these psychology to get you to buy something that you normally might not have bought, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And everybody has different comfort level. For me, I always found it like I like doing it naturally, and the way I think of it is kind of like dating, right? Imagine I were to, walk up to you and be like, hey, if I just met you at Vid Summit and I walk up to you and be like, hey, let's go back to my place. You're gonna be like,
what the hell?
Like, creep, right? And that's kind of, we all know that, but that's kind of what you're doing when you're promoting your product to a stranger on social media, right?
Yep.
So I kind of use this steps where first you have to meet people, approach, right? Like just like dating. So it's I'm going to draw a parallel to dating, right? First you have to meet people and approach them, right? So that is your content. You're putting out content and people find you, right? And the next you have to ask for their phone number. Like once you've kind of got to know them, you have to ask for their phone number, right? And that's me asking for their email address.
Right.
So I send every traffic that I have to my newsletter or some sort of lead magnet where, I'm collecting their email address. So that's my equivalent of asking for a phone number. And then you have to go on a date. You have to test it out. So for that, like for me, I do sometimes webinar. It might be different things. I'll have like a workshop or something like that. So I'll ask them to like, hey, test me out, right? Here's like a smaller, low risk offer. Try me out, right? And if you like it, then you go to the final stage, which is commitment, right?
Right.
So that's kind of how I think of it. So I found that if I promote something through my social media, I get 10x less sales than if I promote on my mailing list, which is like
Wow.
less than 1/10 of that size.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's
Wow.
because my mailing list are the people that I've been talking. I got their phone number and we've been talking.
Right. It's like you have the relationship with
Exactly.
them. Wow, that is so interesting. I think that, obviously, I think creators hear all the time, email list is such a good thing to have, right? Like you should be growing your email list all the time. You own your list. You don't own the social medias all the time. And, but I feel like there are still a lot of creators that don't take email to the best advantage. Like they don't use it enough. They don't want to write or I don't know what. What's your like strategy for growing your email list?
You can also do a podcast.
Well, that's true.
Like if you're the type of person that actually likes to talk, do a podcast and then have ChatGPT summarize that and send that as an email with the link to the podcast.
That's a great tip. I like that idea.
Because I think I found actually these are the two starting points I think where your content should come from. For me, like it always starts with email because I'm a writer. That's how I think. So whenever I have this idea, this topic or some idea that I want to get out there, some sort of a myth truth. I think most people believe this, but the truth is this, right? I'll start writing about it. And through writing, I get clarity. I'm like, okay, this is what I really wanted to say. Here's the myth that people really believe. And here's the psychology behind why they believe that. And like I get so much more clarity about this topic after I've written it, right? So that becomes like the pillar of my content. And from there, I can take little ideas from there, test it out on Threads. I can take quotes from there, post it on Instagram. Once I have this written, then I also have a community where I do a Zoom call every Sunday. So I'll take like little clips of what I talk about there and post it on as a video. So everything starts from there and then it goes out. And all of my short form content is actually just the driver to this content. And you can do the same thing with podcasts. Like if you're the type of person where, like I get my clarity through writing, but some people get their clarity just through conversation. Like you might.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
You're speaking to me.
Exactly. So you might sit with another marketer or something like that, or even like
we're
this.
doing right now.
Yeah. And you start to get something like, oh, this is what I really think.
Yeah.
Then you take that becomes your content pillar, and then you take little short clips from there. And then you post that throughout social media, and then from that point on, your goal for all those short form content is to drive them to the long form content,
Right.
which is either an email,
Or podcast or whatever it is. Yeah, I like this idea of leaning into your strengths and also working smarter, not harder. Like, I don't think we need to be creating new stuff every day for every platform. Like you said, you can take a podcast quote and throw it on Threads or whatever, and you can disperse it into all these different places, which is super
Even
cool.
my biggest clients, like you would think that like these huge clients, huge personal brands, like they don't have time to do content. They have like a team of 20 people.
Of course.
Yeah, they do have a team, but there's this one content pillar that they don't give up. And sometimes it's a podcast. Like Mel Robbins obviously still does her own podcast.
Yeah.
She's not heavy.
Yeah, there's no clone of her
exactly.
doing it.
And a lot of my clients actually still write their own emails. Like
Wow.
that's one thing that they won't give up, right? And that becomes like the top of the funnel. Like that's where all of their other content. Then now you can have your team of 20 people take that and just create as many content as they can. Yeah.
Well, that actually is a great point because I've worked with a lot of like personal brands too, like public figures or whatever. And a lot of times, like now that I'm really thinking back on it, like I can't always come up with social media concepts for them because they're a person.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like they send me these long voice messages and be like, blah, 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 and then I would take it and turn it into a post. It's kind of a similar concept. Like lean
exactly.
into what works best for you, and then your team or yourself can disperse it to all the different platforms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's a little practical tip.
I like it.
So once your team or yourself, you create all this now short form content, right? that drives to the long form content. What you can do is the call to action for your short form content could be, hey, I have a podcast episode, or I've written an email that dives deep into this topic. And if you want it, I'm going to be sending it out this Friday. Comment the word email. So make sure you get it this Friday.
That's so smart.
Now, like you given it, because like a lot of times, like what people will do is like just comment email to join my mailing list or something like that. You know, there's no time limit there, so there's no rush. I was like, oh, I'll do it one day, right? But then once you give them a time limit, I'm sending out this email on Friday. So if you want to get it, make sure you're on my list.
Yeah.
Like now you've given them a deadline, and I've gotten so many email subscribers like that way.
That is super smart. I also know that with what you're saying, the way that you're automating that is through Manychat.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is Manychat's podcast. So I'm curious how you're using Manychat to grow your email list and what that's been looking like for you.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like a huge game changer. I only use like a handful of tools consistently. Like, I try a lot of tools, but I don't use, there's only a handful of tools that I use consistently for a long period of time, and Manychat is one of them. Yeah, it's been a game changer. Like, I would say, if you look at like how my email list has grown, like before Manychat and after Manychat, it's exponential. It's like you can see the exact point when we started using it.
That's incredible.
And I can see why, right? Like, even me myself, if I'm browsing somebody's content and somebody's like, oh, go in my link in bio and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, man. Like, I'm in the middle, like my mind is on the doom scrolling mode where I'm doing this. Like, you think I'm going to stop, go to your profile, look for your link, and then, go through this thing. Like, so I noticed it for myself. I was like, when somebody's like, I really want that, and somebody's like, oh, just DM the word this. And I was like, I just saw how easy it was.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a aha moment for me. I was like, okay, I have to do this. And it was like, it's not even like just a little bit of increase. It's like, for us, it's like 10x, probably more in terms of the conversion.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's incredible. So you're mainly using it from your in-feed posts to do the comment to DM, which is to comment X word and DM this. Do you use it any other ways?
I don't even use it in that I know some people like Brock and other people, they really have like their automation style. I'm not even doing that.
Hey,
like, I'm
that's
just
fine.
I'm just doing literally the basics. And I am actually like kind of talking to somebody to see what more I can do, which will really up level it. But even just that alone, just comment from the feed, and also I do it on my Instagram stories sometimes. My podcast is on pause right now, but one of the things that I used to do that used to drive traffic to my podcast is I'll do a clip and I'll say, comment episode 105, and then I'll send them just that episode, right? So that was a really good one.
Yeah, we will be doing that for this podcast as well.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love to hear how you're using Manychat. I think and it's not crazy that you're using it with that. That's the biggest use case.
Yeah. That's such a low-hanging fruit. Whenever I meet somebody who's not doing that, I'm like, they're saying go to link in bio.
You're like, hello.
You're literally leaving money on the table.
It takes 2 seconds to set it up. So I am curious, because personal branding is so important to you, as it should be for everybody. How do you balance automation with still feeling true to your brand voice and what you stand for? Yeah,
like I said, I don't automate a lot, and I used to be actually very anti-automation, and I meet a lot of people like this, the personality, like, because I'm like the creative type, right, the craftsman.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, like I have to listen to vinyl, like those type of people. And the thing is, okay, it's all good that you're an artist, you care about your craft. But at the end of the day, if you want to build a business and if you want to generate revenue through your craft, there are certain things that has to be automated. And I would say, don't think of automation as like this robot doing all of this. It's so impersonal. Don't think of it that way. Think of it more like, I think of it as like creating an environment. Like, if you, so because I have this personality, I'm also the type of person who's like, no, I don't need any process. Like, I'll go to the gym, and I don't need to have my workout schedule done, and I don't need a to-do list. Like that's like I'm a like a freewheeling Bob Dylan, right? So, but when I actually started, like, okay, if I have my gym clothes next to my bed when I go to bed, I know that tomorrow morning I'm gonna be, working on legs, and I'm gonna do 3 sets of this and 3
Right.
sets of, like, if I have all of those things down, and I know I just have to put on my clothes, walk out the door, and I don't have to think about anything else, I'm much more likely to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you create an environment like that, right? If I get rid of all the junk food and have healthy food, right? If I have my workspace is clean and everything I need to do for tomorrow is there written, the chance that I'm gonna do it is so much higher. And once you start doing that, it gets to a point where your business is just growing in the background without you even realizing. And I felt this like in my bones when I built my agency. Like in the beginning, I was so anti this type of process. And when I was so busy just working on client projects, Gigi came in and just took over. Gigi's my wife and business partner. She's here. She took over, and she took everything that I do and put it into process. Okay, here, like once son does this, invoice needs to go out, and this needs to happen, and she just set up all this process. And we went from like being in debt, in the red, and 6 months later, I look at the bank account and there's like $200,000 in there, and I'm like, how did this happen, right? And it just happened, like almost like magic, like in the background, without me even realizing it, because she had set those processes. And that's kind of when I realized the power of processes. So to me, automation is just the next level of that. Like the same thing. If I were to, every email, I was trying to get people to, like, every post that I do, if I'm trying to get people to somehow go to my email and do all of these things, like manually every time, like it'll be like pulling teeth, right?
Yeah.
But now I already have like the last slide that says, like, if you want more content like this, join my mailing list. Like every post that I do, I already have that call to action, right? I already have a Manychat automation set up for that. Like I don't even have to think about it, right?
Right.
And without me actually doing anything, it's working in the background, and my mailing list is growing every day. And if you want to be successful in anything, you really have to get to a point where it's that boring. Like I always say, you'll start making money once you get bored. Because when something is too exciting and fun and stuff for you, that means you're still in the early stages where you're learning and you're trying new things and things like that. What I found in all of my businesses is that we started really making the money once things got boring. Because when things got boring, it means you have a process.
Yeah.
Things are happening. You've mastered your craft. That's why it's boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you've done the same thing over and over and over. Like, I'm sure when Taylor Swift goes on the stage and sing for the 150th time the same song this year, that should be boring, right? Like, So,
Yeah. That's a great point. And it truly is amazing how like systems can simplify so much. And I think the biggest thing when I first started my business that somebody told me that like has always just stuck with me is like the concept of like if you are doing absolutely everything in your business, you don't have a business, you have a glorified job. And like that was like, 100%. So the more that you kind of outsource, whether it's to people or to systems, I think that's the steps that you kind of need to take, and maybe it feels a little boring, a little more slower, but that's what you need to do.
That glorified job thing is so true.
Yeah.
Like, I think most people think they own their business, but actually their business owns them.
That was me for a very, very, very long time. Yeah.
I think what people don't like is the feeling of being manipulated. Like, I don't think people like it when they go to something that's advertised as a live webinar, and it turns out to be like a
pre-recorded.
Yeah. That makes it look like a live webinar with fake chats or whatever, right? If they make it seem like it's not an automation, like they make it seem like I'm the person who's actually replying when it's not.
Yeah.
So for me, as long as you're transparent about the fact that, okay, I'm not hiding the fact that this is an automation. I think people appreciate that. Everybody knows when I do the comment thing that I'm not sitting
you.
there. Yeah, exactly. Like
You're not answering like 1,000 comments.
Exactly, yeah. So I mean, that's how I would handle it.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. And I think that's why it's so important. Like a tool like Manychat is so customizable. So it's like, I'm a creator too. I use Manychat also before I worked here. And like, I feel like it's just so cool because everybody uses it so different, but you can customize it to feel as automated as you want or as not automated as you want, or you can just pretend like it's you if you really want, or you can not do that.
That's
and you
true.
can just acknowledge, hey, this is my bot. This is my thing.
I'll say this because I've worked on a lot of automation for clients. Here's how you can make it really personal. Don't automate things that you haven't personally manually done like 100 times. Like, because I think one mistake that I see people make is trying to automate something that they've never actually even done, right? It's like for me, I used to send people links. I used to talk to people on DMs, or like, I used to get these same questions over and over and over, right? So once you actually like are in the trenches with your, with your sleeves rolled up and you're actually talking to people and you're really like being personal, you start to realize, okay, like everybody asks me these 3 questions.
Right.
And every time I say this, the next, I know they're going to say this, like, so when you're in the trenches, I think you start to already kind of expect what's going to happen. And once you get to that point, then automate that.
Right.
Because you already know. But if you try to force automation, when you know that nobody's asking those questions or something like that, then people are going to feel that it's like, what's this?
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I actually love this. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I am going to switch gears a tiny bit and share something that we actually recently did a study, and we found that 51%, so over half of creators considered quitting this year, which is scary and sad. And I'm curious from your perspective, have you ever felt like this? And if so, how do you stay consistent in periods where you don't feel super excited to create anymore?
Okay. This is going to be so important for all of you to hear. I'm surprised at that number because I thought it would be much higher. Because, like, for podcasts, I heard something like 50% of people quit after 3 episodes, and 90% of people quit before 10 episodes. So if you made it past 10 episodes, you're already in the top 10%.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. The bar for consistency is so low. It's so crazy. Like, I meet such talented people. I'm like, you're so much better than me. You're so much smarter than me. You're so much more charismatic than me. And I just see them quit. And literally, like, the only reason why I'm still here is because I didn't quit. And so that is like the common denominator for everybody that I know. The only difference is they didn't quit. They kept going. Like Mr. Beast, his video sucked in the beginning. He just didn't quit, right? And I think this is why. When I was young, I moved here in the 6th grade and I didn't speak any English. And I had this homework assignment, and my mom would check my homework every night. And this night, it was just all English reading comprehension. I'm like, there's no way I can do this, right? So I didn't do it. And my mom was like, you're not going to bed until you finish this. And she sat me down on the kitchen table. And she was like, she just like was watching me. She was like doing her own thing. And she would not let me go to bed, right? And until like 1 o'clock, 2 a.m. And I'm kind of stubborn. So I'm like, oh yeah, mom, let's see who can last longer, right? And around 2 o'clock, she was like, she saw me kind of falling, like dozing off. And she's like, go wash your face so you stay awake. And I'm like, okay, she's not going to let me go to sleep. So I just like grabbed my Korean English dictionary. I looked up each word. And I was like, okay, what's this word? And then I'll just go search for that word again. And I actually finished doing the assignment. It took me 30 minutes, right? I've been sitting there for hours because I'm like, I can't do this, right? And what my mom basically did was she wanted to show me that with that mindset of like, oh, I can't do this. So therefore, it's okay for me to give up. Like, that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. And this has happened to me multiple times, like in school, finishing an essay like the night before, launching this website for my clients, like on the deadline. Like, I had times when we didn't have money to make payroll, like in 2 days. And I had to figure out a way to get cash injection to make that payroll. Like, there's been so many dark moments in my life where I'm like, this is impossible. And I never gave up because like I knew that giving up was not an option because I always figured it out.
Yeah,
And
I
I
love
think
that.
once you realize that this is impossible, it's already over. Right?
Yeah.
During those moments, it's so important to push through. When you feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you have to believe, like almost to a fault, that this is gonna work, and
Yeah.
you just have to get through because that bright day will come too, and then you'll go in again. And I think once you've experienced it a few times, at some point you don't even. It's not even hard anymore. It's like
just part of it.
Yeah, it's like it's okay. Today's a bad day.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's really helpful advice. And do you ever find yourself like preparing for this type of maybe down season where, I don't know, like maybe like in terms of social media, you prepare content ahead of time just in case there's like a week where you're like, I don't want to do anything. Like, do you
Yeah.
ever find yourself doing that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like cash flow wise, obviously, you need some sort of a runway. What I see
Right.
is like a lot of freelancers and solopreneurs. A lot of solopreneurs still kind of live paycheck to paycheck. Like, obviously, it's a business, but they maybe have like a month or two of runway.
Yeah.
And they're like trying to build this business, and you're just gonna make a lot of stupid decisions. When
Fair.
you're always worried about money.
Yeah.
So what I would suggest is, if you're in that place right now, this has actually happened to us. We were in that place. Like, I told myself, okay, for the next 6 months or next year or whatever, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm just gonna make as much money as possible. If I have to compromise something in order to make more money, I'm gonna do it. And we got to a point where we saved up enough money. We had enough of a runway. So now when we see a red flag client, I don't have to take on that client. Before, I would take on that red flag client
100%.
and actually lose money from it. So it's like a downward spiral once you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So first thing you have to do is like accept that you're there. Get yourself out of that spiral by just saving money. Like, go do whatever it takes. Like, at that point, what we did was we rented out our apartment on Airbnb. Like, and we like just slept in the office
Wow.
in the air mattress to use that money to
Oh
as
my
a cash
goodness.
injection for the company. Like, we did everything. Like, Gigi sold everything that we can sell. Like, we had to get out of there, and once we did, like, then we started making good decisions, and it was like it didn't even take that long until we just it took off.
You guys are true entrepreneurs. That's like such a business mindset there. It's not even funny. That's incredible. Oh my gosh. Was there ever a moment that you considered going back to a more traditional job and to get out of that?
Yeah, worst case scenario, obviously, like,
Yeah.
I would. But I don't know. Like I said, like, maybe it's because of my mom.
Yeah.
I have this like kind of crazy confidence.
It's good.
And you ever watch that movie Moneyball? Have you heard
I
of
haven't.
Moneyball? Okay.
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched
Okay,
it.
it's a movie about a baseball team. This one guy, he's like a math genius, like an intern, found out that you can actually predict baseball games, like, and scores and things like that based on statistics, like looking at players' statistics, right? And he strongly believed in that, and he proved it. He was able to prove it. And so Brad Pitt, who's a character who's like general manager of a team, recruits him and changes his entire game plan based on this guy's mathematical strategy, right? Which is like the way it's done now, but this was back in like early 2000. And there's like this moment when they change their plan, but they're getting criticized from everyone. Everybody on the team, their president, every other coach was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're listening to this intern. Like, this is stupid." And they're losing after they implemented it, they're losing the first few games. And it just seems like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Like, the doubt starts, even though the numbers were clear, logically it should work, the doubt starts creeping in.
Yeah.
And even the guy, the math guy, it's played by Jonah Hill. Even he's like, "Oh, are you sure we should do this?" Like, you know what I mean? He starts doubting his own numbers, right?
Yeah.
Himself. And Brad Pitt goes to him and be like, "Hey, do you believe in this thing or not? Like, is this going to work?" And he's like, "Yes, of course." Then shut up.
Just go for it.
We're just going to like, and that's when it's really tested. I think a lot of people have the brains to come up with a logical plan, ideas that's going to work. But a lot of them just don't have the balls to push through it when when that doubt starts creeping in, when people starts criticizing, and the sales don't come in the first few months. Like that's normal. It takes time for your ideas to flourish, and you just have to have blind faith that it will.
I mean, it's scary to be in a point where you're not sure of what the future is going to look like, or it's weird to be uncomfortable. Like we don't like being uncomfortable, So I feel like there's something to like that. But yeah, I really.
That's why when we saved up enough money, and I've done this when I freelanced too, and I actually did end up going back to a job and then coming back, and then started my agency. But I gave myself a year. I'm like, okay, I have enough money to last me till this date. But until then, I'm not going to second guess myself. I'm just going to push all in, right? So I think you need some sort of a creative freedom like that where you can say, okay, whatever crazy ideas you have, like test it out, like really go all in. But give yourself a deadline.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make it by then, you can always go back to a job. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world.
You can literally always go back. Like, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, that's great advice. So since we are Manychat and our thing is DMs, one question that I always like to ask is, what is one DM that changed your life?
Ooh.
I know, it's a big one.
I mean, I guess I get these all the time now because I'll always have like these big creators DM me, like huge creators, and be like, "Oh, son, like I love your, I found you through this and whatever it is." And then sometimes like we end up going on a podcast or whatever it is, right? And I'm always like shocked because I'm like, really? Like, for example, I found out the other day that Tom Brady was following me. And I'm like, why? Right? So things like that, right? So here's something that I realized. Whether you have 1 million followers or not doesn't matter. Like what really matters is one right follower. And as long as you're putting out good content, because this can be scary. Like you know you're good at putting out good content. You know you're putting out smart content, but they don't perform. Like for me, my best content don't perform. It's actually my most elementary cliche content. Yeah, the simple content that performs the best. But just know that even though that content doesn't perform, like there's that one right person looking at it.
100%.
And that's where most of these craziest DMs come from. Like they'll come and say, "It's not like I love what you said in this video." I'm like, "You mean that video that only 100 people watched?"
You saw that?
Yeah. I never get them from like the post that has like 1 million views. You know what I mean? So that's another reason to keep posting those, even if they don't perform. Okay.
And don't delete them either.
Yeah, and never delete them. Yeah. Those are the DMs that are crazy. But I would say the first one is Laura Belgrade. Like she's a friend of mine now. She's a copywriter. Remember when I told you I got into copywriting? When I first got into copywriting, the first course I took was Copy Cure, which is taught by her and Marie Forleo. So like Laura Belgrade was like my hero.
Yeah.
And I was like really I was looking up to her. And then I would like share her content. And then one day I just DM'd her. And then she just replied. And then like that started this relationship of like now, we're friends and we've done some collaborations together and things like that. Because like I think she was like the first hero of mine that like I got a DM from. So that was like, I guess, the most meaningful.
Yeah, it really is amazing how many connections you can build through social media. Yeah. Like I've seen it firsthand. Yeah. I met my husband on social media too. Like I just feel like there's so many people that you can meet, so many business opportunities. It really is incredible. So I love hearing that story. Yeah. And just to wrap up the podcast, so that I don't keep you too long, what is one thing that you want people, after listening to this episode, to say your catchphrase, I never thought of it that way?
Okay, this is a common one that I tell audience that are like coaches, freelancers, and anyone in the service business. When I ask a lot of these people to raise their prices, like, like money mindset, like raising your price, that's like it's a big hurdle for a lot of creators, entrepreneurs. So whenever I ask somebody to raise their price, they always come back to me and be like, son, but there's million video editors out there. Why would they pay me this much? Or like, there's million business coaches out there. Why would they pay me this much? Or there's million copywriters out there, or design, whatever, you name it, right? And that's kind of what limits them from saying, like, I can't raise my price. Why would anybody pay me this, right? And then I'll usually, after that, then I'll ask them this question, like, do you outsource any work, or do you, delegate? And they're like, yeah, I've tried to delegate, I try to outsource it, but just nobody can do it like the way I need it to be done, right? Nobody can, like, my clients want me to do this. So I'm like, doesn't that just go against what you just said? Why would anybody pay me this? Because there's a million of me out there. And now you're saying that nobody else can do it like the way you do it. And that is the reason why clients will pay you that much. You know what I mean? So that was like an aha moment for me, because that's when I started hiring other designers, and I'm like, oh my gosh, are clients out there that are hiring me going through the same process and looking at the same people? And is that why they're coming to me?
Yeah. Hey.
Well, probably. And that's when I started like raising my prices. Yeah.
Wow. That is such a great piece of advice. Seriously, thank you so much for everything. This was so valuable. I feel like I'm sitting here and learning so much just by listening to you. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And would you mind just shouting out your social media? And I could put all your links in the description as well.
Yeah. The best place would be my Instagram. It's sun.yi. And my website is sune.co.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yay.
This was fun.
This was so great.
I always think that even if you are going to outsource something, it's always better to try it yourself first, so you know the ins and outs before you just outsource it.
We love the tips before the podcast starts. Incredible.